it changed over time, how it got started. And I do apologize, I'm kind of doing this on the fly. When I did the slideshow years ago, technology was different. I had a bunch of physical slides, and we kept thinking, okay, when we get to the convention, we'll get everything set and converted over to the computer. And we got busy with different things and kind of drafted to do stuff we didn't know we were doing. Neil had no plan to be AV monitor, I think, but he ended up being that, and he thought he did a good job under the circumstances. So anyway, what this is from is, some of you that remember the old days know that there was supposed to be a guidebook coming out from Cinemaker Press, and it was typeset and ready to go, and sitting at the printer about to go on the printing press when Cinemaker quietly folded. And that was my book. And so anyway, I'm going to at least share something from the beginning.
And I'm going to brag on her a little bit too. First of all, it was read by Ron Koslow and approved by the company. It was officially licensed. And whenever, several years ago, the Sci-Fi Channel had a Beauty and the Beast marathon on it, Ron Perlman shilled for her book. And unfortunately though, it never came out.
Although it's kind of interesting, because when Neil and I first met, it was online, and I was talking about the book, and he found out that I wrote and was trying to get me to do an article about him in a computer game he'd done. So because he was being shamelessly self-promotional, we started talking. So anyway, I'm reading this by flashlight, and I haven't looked at it for a while, so I hope you'll bear with me. And something I have to say, especially after our convention here, is this is one understanding crowd. So I feel like I'm among friends. The other thing too, to add a personal note, is I think this was part of my therapy, because I was having my first of 3 experiences with cancer when I was working on this book. I was diagnosed, and getting to think about something that had nothing to do with my health status was wonderful. So if nothing else, it was good therapy and good conversation for when I met a very wonderful, romantic, furry guy with long hair. So anyway, this is called Beauty and the Beast, Roots of a Tale as Old as Time. A struggling merchant sets off on one last venture, hoping to recover his wealth. His selfish daughters ask him to bring them costly finery, but his loving daughter Belle, or Beauty, wishes only for his safe return. The merchant's journey is alas a disappointment. Unable to bring home expensive gifts, he tries to at least grant Belle's modest wish. Passing a remote estate, he picks a beautiful rose, only to be confronted by the lord of the castle, an enraged beast-like creature. The merchant is held hostage for his unwitting crime. However, the beast does allow Belle to exchange her own freedom for her father's life. Belle is treated as the lady of the castle, given fine clothing and enchanted luxuries. Good manners and a compassionate heart allow Belle to deal kindly with the beast. During dinner conversations, the two develop a friendship. Asked how he spends his time away from her, the beast admits to his shame that his animal nature forces him to hunt. Each evening, the beast politely asks Belle to be his wife. Loath to hurt her friend, she nonetheless always declines. But in her dreams, she is haunted by the recurring image of a beautiful but lonely prince. A magic mirror allows Belle to see what is happening in the outside world. When the mirror reveals that Belle's father is ill, the beast grants her permission to visit her old home. But she must soon return, the beast admonishes, or he will die without her. His beloved daughter at his side, Belle's father quickly recovers. At her family's urging, she stays past the promised time. True to his word, the broken-hearted beast begins to die. Stricken with worry, she rushes back to him and, swearing his love, at last agrees to be his wife. Released by love from an evil spell, the beast transforms into the handsome prince of Belle's dreams. They are married and enjoy great happiness together. The best-known version of Beauty and the Beast, the fairy tale, is one originally penned in 1756 by Madame the Prince de Beaumont. The Beaumont version was in turn based on a moral fable for adults written in 1740 by Gabrielle Suzanne Barbeau de Galland de Villeneuve. Variations in this theme date back to ancient times and can be found in stories from around the world. In some respects, most of the great love stories can be likened to Beauty and the Beast. Even Romeo and Juliet and all its iterations are like Beauty and the Beast, and then we see the ugly enemy transformed into a beautiful love. The full evolution of the fairy tale is masterfully documented by Betsy Heron in Beauty and the Beast, Visions and Revisions of an Old Tale. This was by University of Chicago Press in 1989, and some of it is very academic. She actually has a kind of mathematical formula for how some of the fairy tales go, so some of it's pretty heavy, but there's still a lot of good general interest in it. Her extensive analysis of the 1946 Jean Cocteau film mentions the transformation of Beaumont's rather genteel 18th century creature into a conflicted, passionate 20th century personality. Bear in mind, this really reflected the new field of psychology, and Cocteau's camera underscored this with recurring images of plucked roses, torch flames, and bloodstains. This modern treatment can certainly be seen as a strong precursor to Vincent's struggle with his divided nature, the restrained but passionate love between him and Catherine, and even the recurring motifs of roses, lighted candles, primal rages, and blood. Other parallels, such as the empathic connection, can also be drawn between the film and the television series. The television series, in turn, appears to have had its measure of influence on details of Disney's feature-length animated Beauty and the Beast from 1991. Certain mannerisms of the main characters, such as Belle continually pushing her blondish brown hair out of her green eyes, for example, as Catherine often does, and their shared love of books are decidedly reminiscent of the television series. The process of borrowing from earlier sources, then creating new interpretations, continues on. Heron's exhaustively researched book was published 3 years before the release of the Disney version, but she lists other tellings of the story, such as the 1978 book exquisitely illustrated by Mercer Meyer, which provided most of the slides for the retelling at the beginning of this presentation, by the way. Then there is also, and a lot of fans know about this one, Robin McKinley's 1978 novel,